Hello and welcome back to Wolf and Friends Gaming. Today I am doing a top 10, not the other guy, actually me, Wolf, the channel owner, and also the guy who does all the gaming videos. Also, you might have seen some changes already. As you can see, I actually have an avatar for myself now. So yeah, it took me a while to draw some of them, then I just used paint, but that's not important. So let us begin with top 10 Pokemon. So, also, this list does include all of their evolutions if I don't name them. So, it's like if I say, like, Vulpix, it also includes Ninetales onto it. So, let us actually begin with our number 10. Number 10, the ground Pokemon that everybody loves to make jokes about, but doesn't know what his legs look like if he has any. I am, of course, talking about Diglett, or as some people call him, Diglett. Diglett is a pure ground-type Pokemon, and you can really only find him inside Diglett's cave or other caves if you don't have Diglett's cave in it. He is actually pretty useful because, I mean, in the game you can get the TM, or technical machine, known as Dig, but Diglett and Dugtrio can learn Dig on their own without this TM. Plus, also you can catch a Diglett and use it against Lieutenant Surge and easily beat him. However, there are some other things about Diglett, like obviously dig to get out of caves or just to use it as a move to escape a battle, like if you're like hide, so like dive or fly. But also, since he's ground, he is immune to electric type moves, which is why he's ideal for the power plant or against Lieutenant Surge, or any electric type trainers like an electrician. But also, he can also learn another move known as Magnitude, which goes from Magnitude 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 9, which is a sort of move based off of the scale of earthquakes. Another thing about Diglett is he can learn Cut. I don't know how that makes any sense. He has no arms. He can learn Cut and he can learn Fury Swipes. It makes no sense at all. He evolves around level 30, I believe, and then you get Dugtrio, which is 3 of them, which is more power for any move, pretty much. And yeah, he's pure ground, but of course he's weak to water and grass. So yeah, if you don't run into any of those kinds of gyms, he's pretty useful. Also, he can't damage flying types, but I believe he can learn rock moves, so that's another good thing about him. So let's move on to our number 9, Crobat, the poison flying type Pokemon. Okay, now, Zubat's fine. Golbat, you can catch them easily at like level 20 in any cave, and I mean, they're really good, but nothing beats a Crobat. Why? We're just looking at his appearance. It is an epic bat. I mean, Zubat has no eyes, then Golbat has a giant mouth, and Crobat, although he has 4 wings, he's one of those bat-like things you can see, because he has both the eyes and a smaller mouth. He can also learn moves like Crunch and other Fang-type moves, I believe, like Poison Fang, as that was a newer move. Like I said, he can also fly, meaning he can learn Fly. However, there is only one way to get a Crobat, and it is through the magic of friendship. Yeah, it's a really weird thing. He was in the 3rd generation, I believe, only in 3rd gen, and then in the remakes of Silver and Gold, you can get a Crobat. All you do, of course, get a Golbat or a Zubat, get the Zubat to Golbat level. Then, through friendship, day, night, afternoon, doesn't matter. And at some point, when your friendship with him is maxed out, he will become a Crobat. And, I mean, I do like Crobat a bit, because it was hard. Of course, Zubat isn't an easy Pokemon to deal with, since one of his first moves is Leech Life, and it's pretty much useless in the beginning, especially against the first gym leader, Brock. But otherwise, once you get Golbat, things become a lot easier, as he can learn Bite, Crunch, Air Cutter, like that. I think Crobat is the best version of it. And, I mean, yeah, he's just like he's not cute. I mean, he can be pretty terrifying at times, but it's just a good Pokemon to have to show you that, oh, I'd like to put time and effort into this game because it is a fun RPG. So, with him out of the way, let's move to our number 8, one of my favorites, Growlithe or Arcanine, doesn't matter which one. And main reason, not only is he a fire type, but he is a dog, and I just love dogs. That is sort of why my character right here is a wolf. So, yeah. Growlithe, I don't remember how you can get him. For some reason, I remember you could get him at the Pokemon Mansion in Fire Red, Leaf Green, because it's burned down and stuff. But yeah, he's a fire type. I've yet to actually catch one on my PC version, but once I do, I will catch him. And yeah, like I said, I love dogs. Also, since he's a fire type, he's useful against the grass type gym, unless you already beat it, which I think you have to. But I mean, yeah, another good thing, he too can also learn dig, but he can also learn roar, which if you can't run away for a battle, say like he's a lower level than the opponent, you use roar on the enemy Pokemon and it pushes them out and it forces them out. If you're in a battle, it forces the next Pokemon to come out. So yeah. Also, the combo I really like to use with my Arcanine was Fire Blast, Flamethrower, Fire Fang, and Extreme Speed, just to get that move off first. Of course, I have 3 fire moves, but all of them are pretty powerful. Sure, one of them has low accuracy, but has 120 damage or power to it. Flamethrower is the base fire move that any fire type Pokemon should learn and should keep, and Fire Fang just to keep that dog kind of thing going. So now move to our number 7, Snover, or his evolved form, Abomasnow. Some people joke about Obama Snow. Snover is an ice grass Pokemon, meaning Growlithe can beat him easily or any other fire type. He is that weak. But you can only get him in ice areas or on the mountains. Good thing about him is because he's ice, his special ability is known as Snow Warning, which automatically causes hail to come down. Sure, apparently ice doesn't resist flying, but I mean, you keep hail on, and since he can learn ice type moves, he can easily beat flying type, ground type, possibly get your opponent frozen, and then they'll have to use an ice heal, full heal, or full restore, or some type of berry. But yeah, since he can also learn types of grass moves, like I think he can learn Giga Drain, which is another good one, Grass Knot, which is a basic kind of grass move, but yeah, ice and grass, instant hail no matter what, it is pretty good, especially with Blizzard. So, number 6. Another favorite of mine is the water electric type, and I think the only one that exists ever is Chinchou. Chinchou, of course, is a little cute ball with 2 little light bulbs on top of his head with tiny fins. But when he evolves, he turns into a fish known as Lantern, which is clearly based off of the anglerfish, which uses its like sort of light bulb, not as a fishing rod, but as a sort of light bulb for a moth kind of thing. It lures in fish, and then it eats them with its giant jaw. Of course, they can only be found at the deepest parts of the ocean, and they look terrifying, I will say that. But the reason why Chinchou is on this list is because since he's water, you can teach him Surf, Waterfall, Dive, and Whirlpool. Obviously 4 good HMs that are all powerful and useful for trying to traverse to the Elite Four. But also, because he's electric, he can learn moves like Thunderbolt, Thunderwave, Thunder, and I believe Charge Beam. And however, you might say, well, since he's water electric, why not just use an electric type move on him? Well, obviously electric type would resist electric type, but another thing, it will heal him. That's right. His ability is if any electric move is used on him, it heals him, no matter what, I believe. And of course, since he is also this, he is super effective against rock and ground, and also fire. So yeah, it's gonna be tough to beat Chinchou and Lantern if you're trying to use an electric type move. So we now move to our halfway point, number 5. Now I'm gonna say this first. Everybody has their own favorite evolution, but I gotta look at the basic one. So the number 5 on this is Eevee, a normal type Pokemon. He is also the most realistic looking Pokemon, I'll say that. I mean, compared to everything else you see, I mean, sure, Growlithe does look like a dog, but I mean, what kind of dog really is red and has black stripes? It's more of like a tiger kind of thing, or a lion, I guess. But Eevee looks like a small fox kind of thing. And he's normal, but in the first game, he had 3 evolutions: Vaporeon, Flareon, and Jolteon, electric, fire, and water. Then they later got, through the power of friendship at day and night, Espeon and Umbreon, a psychic and dark type. Now, in later games, you have to train him by a special rock, either that's full of moss to get a Leafeon, or one that's covered in ice to get Glaceon. But now I go to my least favorite evolution of all, Sylveon. Yeah, that's right. I do not like Sylveon. I have not played any of the new games that have Sylveon in it, and I don't intend to. Why? Because it's become a bit overused now. I mean, I love the original Pokemon games, and I'd still like to see those original ones. Sure, some of the newer ones are good, like Gible and such like that. Hell, even Arceus. But, I mean, when you recreate a game that's already been made and was good, you you're kind of running out of ideas. That's when we call it X and Y, Alpha and Omega. I mean, what's next? You guys gonna use numbers? Or is the next Pokemon gonna be like Pokemon 26,000,001? Yeah, it's weird. But the reason why Eevee, of course, is when you first get him as like a level 5 or 20, he doesn't have that many good moves. Hell, he doesn't have Quick Attack. He's got like Growl, Leer, Helping Hand, and some other move. But obviously he can learn Dig because he's normal type. But it's because he has so many evolutions. He has the most evolutions of all Pokemon. He's got like 8 of them, I believe. And they're into different types. Hell, I wonder if they're going to make him into a flying type next, or a ground type, or rock type. But yeah, main reason on here is because of all of his evolutions. And also because also something called Eevee training, which is not obviously Eevee training, but you can, if you have an Eevee, you might want to get a Ditto as well, just to breed them so that you can get every evolution possible. So let's move to our number 4. Now this one was actually a tie between 2 of my favorite fire types, and they were both starter Pokemon. I'm talking about not Chimchar, talking about the 2 better fire types that a lot of people know more about. Charmander versus Cyndaquil. I really can't decide between these 2. I liked both of them so much, but I've got to look at both of them. So, Cyndaquil, obviously, first fire type move they get is Ember, and both of them are good with that. But when you look at their first gyms that they have to conquer with it, you have Charmander is up against Brock, rock type, Geodude, another Geodude, and an Onix, who can also use ground type moves, I believe. But when you look at the other game, Cyndaquil, his first gym is a flying type gym. And then after that, he has to go to Bellsprout Tower, which is all Bellsprouts, which is just laid out for fire. Charmander, however, his next gym after that is water type. Water type. The 6th gym is grass type. He's already going to be freaking Charizard by then. Which is, I mean, sure it's made to be difficult, but why the hell would you choose a fire type on your first 2 gyms he's going to be weak against? And then hell, he learns Metal Claw. Steel isn't useful for anything at all. But when it's their final evolutions as well that make them difficult to choose from. Cyndaquil evolves into Quilava later, and then becomes Typhlosion. Charmander, however, goes to Charmeleon, and then Charizard, one of the signature characters of the Pokemon franchise. Charizard's one-up is that he has wings, so he can actually learn Fly. But we have Typhlosion, who can use Eruption. Both of them can learn Blast Burn, of course, and both of them can also learn Rock Climb, but it's really hard to choose because of which one is more effective early on in the games. You have Cyndaquil, who can breeze by easily. Hell, I don't think there was a water-type gym in the games. But then Charmander the first 2 gyms for him are his weakest ones. They need to fight an electric-type move, which doesn't make it easier. There's also a psychic-type thrown in there, so Charmander has to go through a lot, but in a way it's worth it. Especially once you learn to fly with him. That way you don't need a Pidgey or anything. You can just use your fucking dragon anywhere. But of course he's also weaker than Dragonite. So it was really hard for me to choose. So I'll let you guys choose which one's better. So our number 3. Now I know how the previous one was a fire type starter. So I'm going with a water type starter for my number 3, and it is my favorite one. I found this one better than Squirtle, Piplup, or Froakie, or any of the other ones I missed. I chose Mudkip. And I don't know where all these memes of I heard you like Mudkip come from, or why people cosplay as Mudkip. It's a really weird thing. I still don't understand why people like Mudkip. Oh, I found him pretty effective, mainly, especially in his games. Because the first gym in Emerald, Ruby, or Sapphire is a rock-type gym, but I actually found that difficult with him. Of course, he is not only a water type, but he later becomes a ground type when he becomes Swampert. But he can also learn a ground type move, Mud Slap, which weakens the accuracy of the opponent at sometimes. But of course, he's also water type, meaning he can learn Surf, Whirlpool, Dive, even Protect. He can learn that. And I mean, yeah, he is very effective. He can also learn punch moves like Ice Punch, I believe. And I think no, he can't learn Ice Fang. Sorry. But he can also learn a ground-type move, which now became a water-type move, known as Muddy Water. Pretty good move. Plus, you can also learn fighting-type moves because of his hands. and I just found him better than Blaziken and Sceptile, mainly because I actually never got a Sceptile. I always kept losing to my rival on that stupid bridge when I had a fucking Grovyle. I hate you, May. And then I found him better than Blaziken because I've never used Blaziken, but I mean Torchic is pretty weak early on, seeing that it doesn't even have Peck. It starts out with Scratch, and then once you get to Blaziken, then people say it's good, but I can't really sit through that. I want to have a good Pokemon to start off with. So, that out of the way, we move to our number 2. We go to one of the darker Pokemon, I should say. We're entering the realm of Ghost-type Pokemon. And what is the creepiest Ghost-type Pokemon you can think of? Well, I mean, you have Ghastly going to Haunter, going to Gengar. I mean, that's pretty creepy. I mean, a dead fairy body type. I mean, what's up with that? But I've found a actually creepier Ghost-type Pokemon that sort of scared me a bit. Just like when I was researching him. I, of course, am talking about the evolution of Dusclops, Dusknoir. Now, Dusknoir actually had his own version of him in the Mystery Dungeons, where he was actually a villain, but he helped the Grovyle out. And then once you did that, he sent you to what's known as what I call the Dead Zone, because time has stopped. The creepy thing about him is, I mean, just look at his design. It looks on his chest. He has a mouth, which is part of his Pokédex data, but also he has some weird thing on his head, which is also another part of his Pokédex. And then he's a giant ghost with one eye. What's not creepy about that? He's all gray, and like I said, his Pokédex is really creepy. In one of the games, it says that the mouth on his chest allows him to eat people and take them to the spirit world. But also, the antenna fixed upon its head can allow him to communicate with those spirits in the dead world into reality. So yeah, that's not creepy at all. You pretty much have a psychic medium right there that looks like it's going to kill you. But then, of course, he is a pretty good Pokemon because of a combo you can use with him. You can use Sleep or Hypnosis, whatever it is, to make the Pokemon sleep. And if your health is weak and is still asleep, Dream Eater, Nightmare just to do damage, and of course, Shadow Ball. So yeah, it's going to be pretty tough to take him down, especially if you have a normal or fighting type, because Dusknoir is like pure ghost, I believe. So, we now move on to our number 1 Pokemon. Who is it? There's quite a bit of fan art for this one, I'll say that. I only found one, and I'm somehow surprised at that, seeing that a lot of people make a fit about it, that there's so much. I, of course, talk about the most human-like Pokemon possible, Gardevoir, the evolution of Kirlia and Ralts. However, Gardevoir can be both male and female, but has a pure female design kind of thing coming from it, which is weird because Ralts looks like a boy, but then Kirlia gives off that girl. But Gardevoir, a pure psychic type. Like I said, most human appearance. And, I mean, yeah, it's psychic type, so psychic types are pretty good Pokemon. They can learn Teleport, which is Ralt's only move at the beginning. They can also learn Calm Mind to boost up their special attack, special defense. And of course, the most OP Psychic type move ever that pretty much everybody hates, Psychic. But also it can learn Protect. And then another thing I found out about this is, like I said about Dusknoir's Pokedex, I'm bringing in this one's Pokedex data. Gardevoir will actually protect its own trainer with its life. That is the most loyal Pokemon of all, willing to throw its life away in order to protect its trainer. Which, that is the main reason why it's on the number 1 spot. None of these other Pokemon really came off as, oh, we're going to protect our trainer. No, we're just going to battle things and we have other important things about our lives. So, that was the top 10 Pokemon list. If there were any Pokemon that I missed that you would have won on this list, leave in the comments below. This has been Wolf and Friends Gaming, and I will see you another day. Goodbye.